Hi friends, today I'm going to be talking about why I dropped out of art school, which if you follow me on Instagram, I did a little short video where I kind of talked about why I left art school, but this video is when we're really going to be talking about it and getting in depth because I'm not gonna lie, I have a lot to say about it. Long story short, I just didn't have a good experience at SCAD. I'm just a lot happier not being in school right now. I'm actually really hopeful for the future and I'm so happy I got out when I did. It would have sucked if I had to be in any more debt than I already am in right now. But basically how this video is gonna go is that I'm going to talk about why I left and all that stuff, but I also have questions that I will be answering from my Instagram. So if you did ask a question on Instagram, it will be answered in this video. I also am drawing in this video. I made a little illustration. It was just a little doodle, but hope you enjoy, and I'll see you guys at the end. So where do I even begin with this? I guess I'll start with why I even decided to come to art school in the first place. So for some background or context as to where I'm coming from in terms of my high school education and my art and all that, I went to a residential boarding art high school, which basically, if you don't know what that means, it was an art high school that I basically lived at, like a college. And I did a very in-depth art curriculum there, and I even did a concentration, which is basically like a focus, where I basically spent an entire semester doing a project in whatever area I wanted, which for me ended up being like a digital illustration, digital drawing type thing. I'm saying all this to say that I had a very, very good art education in high school. So being at that high school, everyone around me was also an artist. Everyone around me was, they were going into different art fields, but everyone around me was super creative and so talented. So everyone around me was kind of also looking into art school. At the start of senior year, everyone was talking about what schools they were applying to, what their dream schools were, and we were all doing college visits and all that stuff. And I naturally also did that because it was kind of what everyone else was doing, and it was kind of what we were all being encouraged to do. There were a couple schools that I was really interested in. And for a while, my top choice was actually Ringling, and I was actually looking into them for game art specifically, and I even went to one of their open house days. I flew all the way out with my dad and toured the school and all that. That was my top choice school for a really long time. But then once I got all my scholarships, they are so stingy with scholarships. Oh my gosh. A lot of art schools are, but Ringling specifically is so stingy. So I didn't really get enough to be able to afford Ringling. Actually, my parents still wanted me to go. They were just take a loan out, which, for also a little bit of context, my family is a family of immigrants. So my parents don't really understand college in the United States. So it's kind of they don't really understand what that actually means when it comes to taking a loan out and being in debt for your entire life, especially with the state of the economy right now and how school prices just keep going up and up. It's just something that they didn't really understand. So I don't entirely blame them for just kind of encouraging me to just take a loan out to pay for college, but it is something that I now understand. So basically, after I kind of realized the price of Ringling and all that stuff, I actually had a teacher who encouraged me to look into SCAD, which I had known about. I've known about SCAD ever since freshman year of high school, and they actually, SCAD was kind of my top choice school. I'm not gonna say top choice. It was my dream school freshman and sophomore year before I really knew a lot about what I wanted to do. So I've known about SCAD, but I kind of heard a lot of bad things about SCAD, honestly, and I never applied senior year because I was SCAD sounds a little shady. I really don't want to go to a sketchy school, so I never applied. But then I had a teacher who did really encourage me to at least apply because he didn't really believe a lot of those things, and he just wanted me to give it a shot. And I was like, you know what, fine. And this was January, so this was already pretty late for college applications, but I was like, okay, you know what, I'll just apply. What will it do? I also had a fee waiver for the application, so I was like, okay, why not? long story short, because of all of my scholarships I ended up getting from SCAD, I was able to get it down really low for SCAD, at least. It was still not cheap, let me just say, but for SCAD, I got it down really cheap, and I ended up committing for illustration, and it was really unexpected, but I really liked the idea of living in Atlanta because, for those of you who don't know, SCAD does have an Atlanta campus, which is the campus that I ended up going to. And I've always liked Atlanta. It's pretty close to where I am already. It's about 2 hours away, so I visit a lot, and I just really like the idea of living in the city. So I ended up committing, and I went. Before I went, I did also tour the campus, and of course I did lots of research, and to be honest, from what it seemed, the illustration program specifically looked really great, and I really just wanted to go because I figured that I would be learning a lot, and I thought, getting a good education and also having a degree and stuff is something that is very, I think, valued in society, and is, I don't know, I guess it's kind of like a social thing, but telling people that you didn't get a degree or didn't go to college, there's just always a negative connotation behind it. So I didn't really want to fall into that, obviously, and I wanted to, of course, make my parents proud and all that stuff. So that was kind of why I wanted to get the degree, and I think SCAD also is one of the most popular or big name art schools out there, so I think that I liked the idea of being able to tell people that I graduated from SCAD, I went to that school, so that was another reason why I ended up choosing to go. And even though I got really good scholarships from SCAD, I still did have to take out a loan, which ended up being about $8,000 to $9,000 a quarter. I still had to pay off with a loan, and the crazy thing is that my loan had a 15% interest rate. 15%, which is ridiculous if you understand loans and all that stuff. I legit would have been in $150,000 worth of debt by the time I graduated, no joke. But I kind of kept telling myself it would be worth it by the time I graduated for some reason, and I went. And my first quarter at SCAD was alright. I mean, I made some friends. I had some really good professors that quarter, and I still wasn't really making art that I liked, and a lot of what I was doing, actually basically all of what I was doing that quarter was stuff I've already learned, and I kind of already learned from my old, my high school art program and stuff. So I, wasn't really learning it, but I was it's okay. I will get to my major courses and then I'll really be learning. And then the second quarter started, and it was kind of the same thing. I wasn't really learning, but this quarter was just worse. I don't know what it was. It was just I did not get lucky with my professors that quarter. And I was just miserable. The projects were not fun, and they were so useless, and I say that they're useless, and this is literally coming from I understand why we do certain projects because of the art curriculum that I already did. I know why we do if for those of you who have been in art programs, learning about the principles and elements of design and doing projects based on each one of those, learning about line, learning about shape and texture and color and all that stuff. I 100% get it, but some of these SCAD projects really are just what are we doing, guys? Come on. So this led me to reevaluating, okay, I'm paying a lot of money to be here, a ridiculous amount of money that is putting me into a lot of debt. And I also ended up having a talk with my advisor, and I found out that I would not get into my illustration courses until sophomore year, which would still be my basic illustration courses, foundations of illustration and all that stuff. So basically my entire first year of school would have been foundations, which is stuff that I've already learned and I know very well. So that was a big thing. I was dang, I'm paying money to relearn stuff and be miserable and not make art that I like. So I started off with that, whole realization. And then I kind of was also I was thinking long term about careers and like why I'm in school in the first place. And I have never ever seen myself working for like a company or a brand. I've only ever seen myself being self-employed, which if you don't know, you don't need a degree to be self-employed. And in fact, most people out there who are self-employed, I'm not gonna say most, but there's a lot of people out there who are self-employed who did not get a degree, because you don't need a degree to be self-employed. So I kind of realized, dang, I also don't need a degree to do the stuff I want to do. And also, if you watched my last YouTube video, I talked about this more in depth, but last summer, before I went to SCAD, I was doing a lot of art markets and selling my work and basically just making big steps towards my art career. And basically being at SCAD literally stopped me from doing any of those things. I couldn't post on social media. I wasn't making like the art that I wanted to be making. And I was just also miserable, So for me, it was like, why am I here? Why am I here when I could not be in school and I could be I could have the time to do all the stuff I want to be, doing, and then I could also not be in debt, and I can just start making steps towards my business goals and my art career and all that stuff. And, I would just be so much happier too. And once I kind of had that realization, I was like, I need to get out of here. And I did. And I dropped out after my second quarter of SCAD. And ever since I've been out, which it's been about a month and a half, maybe, I am just so much happier and I have been so much more productive. And it's just everything about it is just, I feel so much better after making that decision. Mind you, it was also a decision that was not just made by me. I talked to a lot of people about it, all of my close friends, family, my boyfriend, and then I also talked to my old professors. I even talked to professors at SCAD about it, and basically everything that I heard from both professional artists that I know and just other people I know, everyone I talked to seemed to agree that this was probably a really good decision for me, considering what I want to do as a career and, how I was feeling about SCAD and all that. So now that I am not at SCAD, I am working on my social media, as you could tell from this video. YouTube has been a big dream of mine ever since I was a kid, and it's something I've just never been able to just sit down and take seriously, and now this is the perfect opportunity for me to do that. And I've also been working on my Instagram and my website, and I'm working on an online shop right now. I also have 4 art markets lined up right now within the next 2 months that I'll be doing, which I'm so excited for. A lot of these are new markets. And basically, I'm just kind of taking my career one step at a time and just seeing where it takes me. I mean, I always have the opportunities to go back to school if I want to, but I can't go back in time and wish that I was young and wish that I was pursuing my dreams and my passions, doing it at this age, which for those of you who don't know, I'm 19 years old. I have the freedom and the flexibility to do stuff, and I don't have to worry about for example, housing. I'm living at home right now, and that's something that I'm very fortunate to have, and it's something that I just don't have to worry about. The main thing that I'm concerned with right now is basically paying my loan off from the little bit of time I was at school, but I'm also very fortunate that I'm not having to pay off 4 years of school at SCAD. And now is the part of the video where I will be answering questions that you guys asked me on Instagram. The first question is, was SCAD worth the hype? And how did you perceive it compared to non-Gov grads? Which, for those of you who don't know, Gov is it just a nickname for the art high school that I went to? I would say that SCAD, for me, was not worth it. However, despite all the trash that I've been talking about SCAD this video, I do think that there are people who really can benefit from it, and it is the right place for them, and that's totally fine. I knew lots of people who loved it, and people there who didn't have a really good art high school education like I did, they are learning lots there. And I mean, there's lots of people who talk about who've never done traditional drawing or academic drawing, and people have never learned about the principles and elements of design and stuff. And for those people, it's a great school. I mean, I think that it's absolutely worth the hype, depending on where you're coming from and what you're looking for in a school. But for me, just because of the prior education that I had, it wasn't really worth the hype for me. The next question is, how do you get work at galleries, pop-ups, / vendors, pretty much the business side of things? Now, this is something that I'm very glad that you asked, because I have lots of info that I can give on this, and I might even make like a whole separate video talking about how to find artist opportunities, because I think it's something I've gotten pretty good at, honestly. I would say that like, for things like art markets specifically, you really have to kind of look for them everywhere. Like, look for them in the places that you would not expect. And also a really good thing that, like, this is honestly how I found most of the markets that I've done. Once you like find a market, like start with like the bigger name ones, and once you vend at like your first market, make sure to like be friends with the other vendors, okay? Like, that's a huge one. You really want to get involved with the local vending scene once you do a market, because those people will be able to help you find the other markets, and they will be able to give you lots of insight and tips and tricks and all that stuff. So for me, like here in Greenville, I've found lots of markets, and like I just keep finding them, and part of that is because I follow a lot of the vendors that I've known from other markets, and I see them post about markets, and then I get to like do those markets too, you know? So that's a big one. Also, don't be afraid just because a market seems really big or like I guess intimidating, like, oh, it's too big for me to do. Like, do not have that mindset at all. Like, even if it looks like it's too big, like, go on their website and look at how you apply to be a vendor, you know, and just do it, you know, like I promise you, like, it gets so much easier once you start actually doing it and finding those opportunities and stuff. As for like galleries and stuff, I'm still kind of figuring out that, but it's a lot of kind of the same thing, honestly, is like, you just have to find them, and just don't be afraid to like apply to things, you know, like that's the only way that you're going to get those opportunities, is that like, if you just gotta apply. So that is what I would say for that. Next is, what is your plan for the next few years? To be honest, I don't know. I mean, I do have a plan. Basically, I'm just kind of taking things one step at a time. And for me right now, that looks like working on growing my social media, working on an online shop, applying to artist opportunities, and applying to art markets and doing those. Basically, just kind of doing anything I can right now to grow my, audience, and grow my name, and just, get my name out there, and hopefully start making more of an income with my art. Next is, did you know that Paula Wallace was the highest paid nonprofit president on the planet in 2019? And for those of you who don't know who Paula Wallace is, she is the president and founder of SCAD. And yes, I did know that, and it is quite interesting, huh? Next is, who or what inspires you in life and in art? This can be such a long answer. I could make a whole video about it, but long answer short, I guess I'll just say everything. Life in general, everything I see on a day-to-day basis, all the people I meet, all the experiences I have, all the art I see online, in person. I think everything, in a sense, inspires me one way or another, and plays a role into who I am as a person and as an artist. Any advice for getting your name out there / getting exposure? I'm trying to grow. I would basically just say, put your stuff out there. I mean, I would say learn about, if you're trying to do it through social media, like look into the algorithm and how it works, and how you can kind of grow and push your stuff on social media. I would just do research and put your stuff out there. Don't be afraid. What got you started as an artist? I don't know if I have an answer for this, to be honest. I've kind of just been doing art ever since I was a kid. I guess it was just always natural for me, and it was something I loved doing, and basically I kind of decided one random day that I would decide to take it seriously and dedicate my life to it. So I don't really know if I have a good answer for that. I always loved watching kids shows, cartoons and stuff, so maybe that played a role into it, but yeah. And lastly, how are you making money selling art, or do you have another job? I do have a job. I actually work at my local art center, and I work there part-time, but in terms of actually making money through my art, I'm currently doing it through art markets. I haven't done a market in a couple months, but I will be back into those really soon, so that's honestly the best way I can recommend you make money if you don't have an online presence. There's honestly so much I could talk about with art school and everything I've said in this video, but that is where I will leave it for today. Also, here is the finished illustration. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. But if you have any other questions as to, my experience or any of the stuff I talked about, leave a comment and I will answer it more likely than not. And I would love to share my experience and share any advice that I can give if you're considering whether art school is right for you, or if you're looking at SCAD specifically. If you have any questions, I can answer them to the best of my abilities. Just leave a comment if you watch this part of the video. I love you. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.